Did you guys see the drones falling out of the sky in China?
Yeah.
So, because I keep thinking drone delivery is the wave of the future, but
maybe
apparently,
not.
this story's light show goes wrong when drones start plummeting out of the sky. And the one guy that tweeted said, word on the streets that a rival drone company that lost the bid interfered to overwhelm the drone's nav system. And they all came, well, they didn't come plummeting down. They all kind of like spun down. They had their
so basically it looks like they were told to land. So we have the video. This is actually a crazy story, man.
That's interesting.
Drones raining from the sky in Zhengzhou. Word on the street, as Ian mentioned, a rival drone company lost the bid, interfered, and overwhelmed the drone's nav system. People are like dodging out of the way as the drones are crashing down.
Interesting.
I don't think people are prepared for what all this new technology really means. When we started, me and my friends were experimenting with drone tech back in like 2011. Early consumer drones, really light, really crappy, would blow away. It was like, we knew like if we're gonna use these things, they can fall. You've got 4 rotors on these drones. If one of them goes out, it falls. So now they got this video of a guy and he's riding. You see the guy riding the quadcopter?
Yeah.
Or it's an
Cool.
octocopter. It's got 4 rotors, but it's got 2 blades on each side. And then they're like, it was an experiment for helping fight fires. And I'm like, dude, if one of those goes out, you die. Because the crazy thing about that thing he was sitting in was that there were no cages around the blades. So if he pitches forward and the blade goes into his back, I don't know how big it was surface-wise, but this video is nuts, man.
I mean, I saw a drone light show at Burning Man a few years ago, and it was something else. I mean, just being able to see drones in unison dancing and having this light show presented to you. This year at the Renegade Burning Man, they did another one where they did the man, and they burned it, but it was drones flying up in the air. So there's a lot of this technology. I know the Pentagon has been talking about weaponizing small drones and using it as a way to attack people where you can't even defend against it. So this new technology will have a lot of different ramifications that we can't even foretell in our modern society. So the way that things could go, I mean, it's so unpredictable.
You ever play Watch Dogs?
No. I've seen it.
So the first you play as like a hacker and you hack stuff, and it's like really basically it's a game where like you can change the street lights and like open doors. But in Watch Dogs 2, you get remote explosives, you get drones, you get a ground drone and a quadcopter drone, and you can launch the drone, throw an explosive on it, and then fly it at your opponents or your enemies or whatever. And what I wonder if they realize that in the game that like that's happening.
Yeah.
Like in the Middle East, drones are going up and into military bases and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. This technology stuff, man, I don't think people are prepared for what's going to happen in big cities. They're going to need like signal grids, like invisible radio wave force fields that when a drone gets too close, it just goes down. Otherwise, it'll go in the city and...
Well, already DJI has geolocations where it can't operate in, specifically near prisons, especially near airports. Because there's been a lot of people also using these drones. They fly them over prisons and they drop drugs and other weapons into the field. So there's been a lot of different implications.
Yeah, but they can be hacked. They can be manipulated.
Of course.
There's what people don't realize too is like the consumer ones. Oh yeah, if you buy a consumer drone, it's not going to fly in certain places. But you can buy like a commercial grade drone that is just the motors with no sophisticated computer that can fly however you want.
The reason I brought it up, and we don't have to go back to this, is because you said avocados are going to get more expensive. Good news, but avocado. And you said unless you have a trade route. But I would feel like New Hampshire would, if it was seceded and somehow it would be cut off, and there would be all the trade routes would be blockaded. So I thought drones, but then I saw this, and it's like, yeah.
I mean, how many men does it take to block off an entire state from the rest of the country? I mean, that's a lot of policing. They could probably keep it up for like a week or 2 weeks, but it's going to be futile. I mean, people are going to have drones that are going to fly over them and deliver stuff.
Yeah.
People are going to build tunnels. I mean, look at what's happening on the border. Look at what's happening in Palestine and Israel. If people want to get through a wall, they'll get through it. One way or
Soldiers
another.
march on their bellies, Ian. They're not going to be able to lock down an entire border.
Yeah.
But I do think, considering what drones will mean for this future, is something interesting. So going back to like ancient Rome, it's interesting that when Rome collapses, you get the rise of these different Latin languages. You know what I mean? They're very similar, but because they're separate from each other, they form their own version of the language. Italian and French are very similar, but then Spanish and French are different, but still you can kind of see where they're similar. because everything fell apart and those connections broke and the language has changed. But the interesting thing is when you see like the collapse of a society or a plague or a major disaster, the technology remains. So I wonder if there are like, ultra wealthy individuals who are like, that's what they want. The idea would be you have 8 billion people all working towards developing new technology. Let's say 90% of their ideas are trash ideas. And they're like, let's make a drone with a clock in it. That way people know what time it is when they fly. And you're like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. So they throw that one out. But then someone's like, let's add, fixed wings to one of our drones so it can both fly as a drone or, convert to a glider. And people have done things like that. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. That could save power when it's in glide mode and then convert into a quadcopter by the wings turning up. Interesting idea. Someone has done that. So what happens then is when you have all these good ideas built up and there's a mass crisis of like a civilization collapse or a plague, the technology and the literature and all that stuff that allows you to build it remains.
Sometimes the Romans lost aqueduct tech,
making concrete underwater.
And you'd see like new tribes of people moving into old Roman broken cities and like living under the aqueducts for shade because they didn't really know what they were, how to use them. So technology was lost for like hundreds of years.
And they say that the Romans had a way to make concrete underwater.
Right.
We still don't know.
So cool.
But the point is, you will lose. Let's say a society collapses by 80% and you lose 20% of the technology. You then have a renaissance. After the Black Plague, a renaissance. Because the knowledge of how to do things better still exists and you know what you need, and then all of a sudden everyone's working and contributing, and it's a scary thought.
So store the data like in orbit and like glass. I like the idea.
Have you played Horizon Zero Dawn?
No.
Have you guys played that?
Nope.
Ah, dude, you guys gotta play. It's a good game. I'm gonna spoil the whole game for you. It's fairly old, but basically, you play as this young woman, and there are these robot animals everywhere, like robot elk and robot dinosaurs or whatever. And you shoot critical points and break them off, and then try and like break the machines and then harvest parts. The story is, it's a great story. Some company created a self-replicating military machine that would consume raw materials and then build new machines. And it had no replicator limit, and they lost control of it. And so it was consuming resources endlessly and expanding. And it was a military machine that could, attack, and it was made for the army. So they couldn't stop it. And then eventually they were like, we know that this planet will die. These machines will eventually wipe out all organic matter, converting it into these machines, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. So they come up with a plan. I think the plan is called Zero Dawn. And the plan was to build underground bunkers that would wait the amount of time necessary until all biomass was destroyed and the planet was eradicated and all of these machines powered down, and then re-terraform the Earth with seeded life. And the robot animals are the first iteration of life, like of some kind of life, to start facilitating the ecosystem. And then human clones start emerging, and they are all like tribalistic and not realizing it. That's a crazy game. Yeah, cool story, huh?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just wait it out. I mean, that's the age old.
Just wait it out. Maybe that's what people need to do today. It's like go homestead and then just wait it out.
Maybe it takes well, historically it could take like hundreds of years, maybe thousands, hundreds of years, but time kind of speeds up sometimes too, like if you have more
it's October,
more access to
what the
space.
I was looking at Will of the People today because I was doing a sound check, and so I just I'll play Will of the People. It's a song I released, and it was November 2nd, 2020.
Yeah,
and
it's
I'm
been
like,
a year.
it's been a year.
Yeah, it's
What
been a year.
the damn?
That's
Flew
wild.
by.
That's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
I guess when you're locked up, locked down, and the country's imploding, you got a lot to do. Time flies, huh? They say time flies when you're having fun, but I don't know.
We're just getting old.
Did you see that?
Time flies with age, exactly.
Yeah.
That one representative wanted to pass a law that made guys get vasectomies.
Yeah.
Is that real?
I mean, it's just hyperbole where they're like, if you're going to control a
gender
woman's
form,
body,
yeah.
then we're going to chop men's balls
If you're going to be
off.
authoritarian, then we're going to be even more authoritarian.
Yeah.
Don't do that, by the way.
Well, look, I'll put it this way.
Terrible plan.
Like, there's no real law in that. It's just shock content. And it's because they're talking to each other. When, like, it's like we mentioned with Colbert doing the vaccine shuffle thing. He's not talking to any of us. That's not convincing in any way. So who's he talking to? The people who are already vaccinated. There you go. Who's this guy talking to? The people who already agree with him. That's the problem. We have two very distinct cultures in this country, and that's where we're going, baby. At least drones won't be falling out of the sky.
Yet.
Oh, don't be so
Yeah.
sure about that. Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
like,
Wait for it.
I'm surprised we didn't see videos like this sooner. They are coming down slowly.
Yeah.
People are like dodging out of
Like
the way.
their
and stuff.
emergency rotors are kicked in, I think, when they come down. But
Well,
that-
they're just being sent home, so they're turning off. Yeah. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.